Good evening, sir. Today we have with us Mr. Casparus, who is the MD and CEO of Shriram Life Insurance. So, sir, how does the insurance industry contribute to the nation building in India?
Hi, Raj. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yes, sir.
It's very interesting because the industry actually contributes at three different levels. The one is to provide a social safety net. As you know, in India, there's not that much of social security. So if anything happens to the breadwinner of a family, that loss has to be covered, especially if there's a single breadwinner, the family goes into financial distress. So insurance helps to make sure that at least financially for a while, the family can continue in their normal way until they find a new source of income to sustain them for the. So sustaining and social security is the most important thing that the life insurance industry is doing. And then, of course, in financialization of assets. So more and more people are moving towards financial savings rather than physical savings. So property, gold, those things, more and more people are moving towards financial savings. So like in mutual funds and insurance. Insurance also provides a savings vehicle in which you can save over the long term, have protection as well. But then at some certain point it pays out. So it's a good savings vehicle that people are using. And it's safe because it's highly regulated. And then the last and very important one is that more than 65% of the AUM of the insurance industry is invested in government securities. That's according to regulation. So it's a highly regulated industry. So we have to invest a certain amount in government securities. So at the moment, it's 67% of the total AUM of the insurance industry, which is, I think, around about 45 lakh crores, is invested in government securities. Now, why that's important for nation building is that the government uses that to build infrastructure, typically. And because in life insurance, the nature of the contracts are long-term, we also take long-term securities from the government. So that funds, all the roads and the bridges and the dams and everything. And if you look at the contribution to GDP over the last, maybe 5-10 years, it was heavily influenced by the investment in infrastructure by the government. So government infrastructure is a big thing and a big portion of that. So insurance contributes 26% to the total G6 of the nation, which makes it a big pillar in terms of nation building. So these three things are the important ways in which the industry supports the nation to grow.
So, sir, I recently saw that 40% of your business comes from the rural sectors predominantly. So, what do you think are the innovative products or the distribution channels that can increase insurance penetration in the rural areas as well as the underserved communities?
Right. This is a very important question because making sure that the nooks and corners of India gets covered in the interest of insurance for all by 2047 is a very important aspect. And it's difficult to do because typically if you go in the rural and if you go in lower income groups, they can afford only smaller premiums. So the normal business model of an agent regularly going to meet and then earning a good commission once he's convinced the customer is more difficult in rural because the distances are much further away. So for an agent to travel, 40 kilometers to the next village, 5 times to go and convince somebody, and then gets a small premium, isn't financially viable. So now it means that we need different business models. So one business model is partnerships. How can you work with partners in terms of reaching to more? So those partners can be government institutions, they can be banks, they can be brokers, they can be fintechs who actually work in this space. That's very important. The other one is that your technology use needs to be very good. So, like for instance, we've got an app through which we do customer onboarding that takes only 2-3 minutes. So you cannot waste money of anybody if they have to travel long distances to go and convince customers. The third model is if you have the typical model is group insurance. So when you have people either having an employer or when they borrow money to buy a two-wheeler or their truck or something like that, then through credit life insurance they can get covered. But you need to think deeper and wider. You also need to think about what are the real needs that people deep in rural have. It may not be the same need. So if it's not the same need, you shouldn't have the same product. So product innovation becomes very important. What is it that you can help to solve in the life of somebody being deep in rural?
Thank you, sir.